It didn't begin with fire. It began with silence. The kind of silence that makes you feel comforting, until it doesn't. I met Daniel when I was still full of dreams and disaster, halfway through college, fumbling through life. He was quiet, grounded, gentle, the kind of man who made you feel like the world could stop spinning and you'd still be okay. The kind of man you plan a life with, not one you burn for. And for a long time, that was enough. Then came Ethan, Daniel's brother, younger by 3 years, and everything Daniel wasn't. He arrived like thunder at our wedding rehearsal, all crooked smiles, piercing green eyes, and unapologetic charm. When I looked at him, something inside me jolted. I convinced myself it was nerves, butterflies, the high of the moment. I was about to marry Daniel, after all. Years passed. Ethan lived everywhere, but here Spain, Tokyo, Cape Town, popping in and out of our lives like an unsolvable riddle. He called on birthdays, hugged tight at Christmas, disappeared without warning. Every time he reappeared, I felt that same spark, and every time, I buried it deeper, until life cracked open. Daniel's mother collapsed one autumn morning. A stroke, a cruel, paralyzing stroke. Daniel unraveled, slowly, his warmth withdrawn, his presence evaporating. I became caregiver, housekeeper, emotional punching bag. Our home turned quiet, and I ached for a version of him that no longer existed. The first time he refused to look at me during dinner, I knew something in us had quietly died. Then Ethan returned. No warning, just bags and a smirk, and a tired, hey. He looked older, sharper. He brought colour into our grey house, cooked dinners, played Nina Simone, laughed. And somehow, without trying, he began piecing me back together. One night, after Daniel had gone to sleep early, Ethan and I ended up on the porch. A bottle of wine between us, stars above, silence thicker than ever. "You miss yourself, don't you?" he said. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. Inside, I was screaming yes. And then, without asking, without hesitation, he kissed me. I froze. Then I fled. The shame clung to me like smoke, but I couldn't forget it. That kiss woke something that had been dormant for years. And Ethan didn't regret it. He didn't chase me. Not with footsteps, but with notes, slipped under my coffee mug, on the bathroom mirror. "You were alive in that moment. Say it wasn't real. Don't lie to yourself." Each one written in his chaotic handwriting, smelling faintly of the cologne I once said I liked. For weeks, I resisted, until I didn't. The affair wasn't glamorous. It was desperate, quiet, electric. 2 months of stolen time and borrowed lies. 1,000 promises never spoken aloud. I would lie in bed beside Daniel, body present but heart elsewhere, until I slipped. A single text, "Tonight?" left on my phone. Daniel saw it. He didn't ask. He didn't rage. He just packed a bag, walked out, never looked back. His eyes, when they met mine, held a kind of quiet that was louder than any scream. Ethan vanished the next day. "Too messy," he wrote in a final message. I never wanted to break him, and I was left with silence. Again, do I regret it? Some days, like the first Christmas alone, like when our song played at a store. But other days, I hold on to how Ethan made me feel. Like I mattered. Like I wasn't invisible. But love real, raw love isn't clean. It's a choice. And I made mine with my eyes open. People judged. Friends disappeared. His mother looked at me like I was a stranger. My sister called me cruel. Maybe she was right. Maybe I crossed a line I can never uncross. A year passed. Then, a letter. From Florence, Italy. "Ethan," 1 page. "I still see your face when I close my eyes. Sometimes I wish we'd met in another life. One where timing wasn't so cruel. I hope you've found a version of peace." I never replied, but I read it 100 times. And sometimes, when the nights are longest, I still do. Therapy helped. Slowly, it peeled me back to the core. Showed me the version of myself I'd buried under years of being someone's wife. Someone's responsibility. Someone's placeholder. I wear red again. I travel. I say no without explaining. I dance alone in my kitchen. I laugh at my own jokes. I'm learning to be someone who doesn't need to be seen by someone else to believe she exists. Last week, I received a postcard. No return address. Just a photograph of a narrow street in Lisbon. At dusk, golden light washing over cobblestones. On the back, in that same chaotic handwriting, still wondering, I stared at it for hours. I didn't cry. I didn't smile. I just felt. And maybe that's the progress I didn't know I needed. Tonight, I lit a candle. Not for him. Not for Daniel. For the girl I used to be. For the version of me who forgot how to feel. Yesterday, I walked past a bookstore and saw a woman sitting alone by the window. She looked like me, 10 years nervous, hopeful, trying to look like she belonged in her own life. I wanted to knock on the glass and tell her it gets better. That losing yourself isn't the end, it's just the beginning of finding someone new. I took a train to the coast this morning. No plan, no destination. I just needed to move, to feel the wind again. I watched the waves crash and whispered all the things I was never brave enough to say aloud. I forgave myself. That night, I wrote Ethan a letter. I didn't send it. Maybe I never will. But in it, I thanked him for seeing me, for breaking the pattern, for forcing me to feel again. It ended with 4 words. I am still here. Sometimes, healing doesn't feel like rising. Sometimes, it feels like sinking gently into yourself and realizing you're safe there. I didn't just fall in love with my husband's brother. I fell in love with myself too. And in the end, that's the love I chose to keep. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough. Finally, truly, enough. But life has a funny way of testing you after the storm has settled. Just as I began to breathe in my solitude without sadness, a message arrived not from Ethan, but Daniel. He wanted to talk. We met at a small cafe-neutral ground, far from memories. He looked older, quieter. I felt older too, but lighter. We didn't talk about betrayal. We talked about silence. About the moments we both gave up but pretended we hadn't. And somewhere in that space, forgiveness bloomed not as reconciliation, but as release. I didn't go back to Daniel. I didn't need to, but I stopped resenting him. And in doing so, I freed a part of myself I didn't realize was still chained to the past. After that day, I began writing. Not just in journals, but for others. For women like me. For the women at the window. For anyone who ever sat in a life that didn't quite fit and wondered if they were the broken piece. My words were raw, messy, honest. And to my surprise, people listened. They wrote back. They shared their stories. And I realized maybe I wasn't alone, no, really. Maybe we're all just trying to love ourselves in a world that teaches us not to. I've stopped waiting for Ethan. Not because I've stopped caring, but because I've started living. If he ever returns, he won't find the woman who whispered through tears. He'll find someone who speaks with steady breath. I'm no longer someone's wife, someone's mistake, someone's shadow. I'm mine. And maybe that's what love is, coming home to yourself after losing the map. And for the first time, I don't just believe I'm enough. I know I am.